Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Lena and my partner Tyler and I have been very hard at work renovating our very old home here in New Orleans. In fact, we've been hard at work on our kitchen to make it the kitchen of our dreams. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. It would really mean the world to us and it helps support our small channel.
Hello everybody. So it's now a new day and Lena and I have gotten all of the cabinets, or at least most of them, where they belong, with the exception of a few that still need to be fabricated. So we've gotten all the cabinets in place, and we also started painting our upper cabinet, our old upper cabinet that we wanted to try to keep because it has a lot of character to it and it's original to the kitchen. So we wanted to make sure we kept that. But today we actually got a really exciting delivery. We actually got our sink in. And now that we have our sink, and I actually have it in front of me, I can start fabricating the sink base cabinet and cutting it to fit the size because this sink is massive. Let me show you what it looks like. Okay, so here's our sink. I actually received it a couple of hours ago, and I was able to take it out of the box and inspect it for any damage and also start measuring it. So this is a 33-inch farmhouse sink. This thing is ceramic, and it is very, very, very large. One thing that I think is really cool about this sink, oh my gosh, I think a bird pooped on it, is actually the lip on this back and this lip on the front that allows you to have like a cutting board or a drying rack, which I think is nice. I don't really care about the cutting board because bamboo cutting boards are kind of thin and kind of loud, but the drying rack I think is really cool because we hand dry a lot of dishes. So as I said, this sink is very large, and we actually have to work on fitting it into this sink base. So this is just a sink base that we bought from Lowe's. It was fairly inexpensive, and after measuring the sink, I think it'll kind of fit right in. I have to do some alterations to it to make the sink work because it's so deep, but I think it's gonna fit right in. So let's just start working on it and just see how it goes. Okay, so after measuring this thing again, it measures exactly 33 inches across here, which is exactly the size of the sink. So I think we may be in really good shape here. So one of the benefits of buying a very cheap cabinet from Lowe's is that it's not fastened together with a lot. In fact, looking at this, I think this is only fastened together with like 2 brad nails on each side. So I think I can just push this thing apart, reuse this wood and just move it down to where it needs to be rather than having to cut new wood, which would be ideal because I don't want to spend any more money than I have to. So I have my jack, and let's just try it. Let's just see if it works. So now that we have our sink fabricated and put into place, I have actually screwed all of the cabinets together and actually reinforced them in between each by putting some strips of OSB just to make them a little more rigid. So now our cabinet's here, and I want to get to start installing our sink because the sink, we need to slide it into place and see how everything's going to fit together before I actually work on the plumbing and all of those other things. So here's the thing, we have a farmhouse sink, and we have a really big ceramic farmhouse sink. I think it's like 33 or 36 inches wide. It's really big, and it's really heavy. And the thing about farmhouse sinks is that you can't just install them into cabinets. They need to have a frame built in because they're so heavy, and also they actually sit down inside of the cabinet rather than sitting on top of the countertop. So I've started assembling a frame that we're going to sit our farmhouse sink on top of. So I'm going to put that together, and then we're going to have to dry fit our sink and just see how it all comes together. and hopefully I measured right. I think I did, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So we're now at the sink, and essentially the way that I'm going to brace this is with these pieces of wood. So I'm going to put pieces along the sides like this, and then I'm actually going to have some other pieces that come across, and that's going to support the weight of the sink. I've actually already cut these 2 pieces to size, and I've already put all of the screws in them. And I've drawn my lines so I know where everything needs to go so it's nice and level and straight. So just gonna attach it and hope that I measured right. I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be all right.
All right, so it's been a couple days since I personally have been on camera. I think the last thing that I was doing was painting the upper cabinets, the dark blue color. And this morning I'm going to come in and paint the body of the lower cabinets. Not all of them are installed yet, but I want to go ahead and get them painted because it's pretty much just like one that's not installed. You saw us bring in this dresser, and that dresser is going to go like, it's off camera, but it's like right here. It's gonna go right here under the uppers, and then there's like one more prefab cabinet that's gonna cap it at the end. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint these bases. We went ahead and taken off the doors. I think we talked about it. We're gonna like create our own doors. But yeah, so Tyler's gonna be working on some things with the sink today, and I figured I'd just go ahead and paint really quickly just so it has time to dry before he comes in. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing today. I think I'm going to go ahead and try to paint the door that is, oh, hello Glenn. We've now let Glenn and Carol in, and they are super interested in this room. We've been keeping it closed off because there have just been a lot of moving parts. There was holes in the floor was redone, etc., etc. What was I saying? Oh, so yes, I'm going to go ahead and try to also paint the door that connects to the sunroom. It's currently the original orange that it was, and it's time for it to get painted. There's also a few other spots that I plan on painting and touching up. So yeah, that's what I have on the docket today. Let's go ahead and get to it. So something that I should say right off the bat is that I actually did not end up getting to paint the door in this video, nor did I go around and paint touch-ups. And that's because I got completely enthralled with painting these cabinets. I went around, I covered all my nail holes, I sanded them, I opened up my brand spanking new can of paint, and I painted directly on these bad boys. I was so excited to paint it this color that I picked. In fact, I was so excited that I actually did not prime, which was a mistake in hindsight. I didn't realize at the time. I know it sounds silly. How did I forget to prime? I don't know what to tell you folks. Sometimes you get so excited about things that you're just like, I'm doing it. And then you do it and you're like, oh, I forgot to prime. So no comment there. I mean, honestly, it came out amazing anyway. I just put a few extra coats of paint on it and it wasn't a big deal. But speaking of not painting things correctly, another thing that I realized at this time is that these sink cabinets do not have a back to them. And at the time of me painting the beadboard, I did not paint all the way down. You can see there's white here on the beadboard showing. I had to go back and repaint that blue because I didn't realize at the time of me painting the beadboard that it would show. Not a big deal, but you know, it's a small thing that I had to go back and fix. That being said, also in light of not realizing things, I didn't know that the dresser that we would end up purchasing, which is this one that you see on screen, would essentially be on stilts. That's what Tyler's doing. He's adding legs to make it level with the rest of our cabinets so that the countertops would fit nice and level. I didn't realize that you would be able to also see the white underneath. It's another silly thing where obviously it did not take me that much time to paint under it, and you will soon see us realizing that you can see the white. So before, we had to like stop installing and I had to quickly paint it and let it dry before we fully finished installing this cabinet. But it's like a silly thing like that that does take a little bit of time. It's honestly not that big of a deal, but you know, I see these things too. I honestly thought it would not be a big deal. Oh, there it goes. That's exactly where we realized that you can see the white. But anyway, it all turned out great. It looks great. It was not a big deal. I just wanted to be transparent with you guys.